Hey, good afternoon, Maria. Back with another video. Let me take a look and see what time it is. I've been busy all day and then taking breaks as I go along. And I usually am on fire for everything, but I will say that, this season I just been really like blah blah blah. I'm not really high energy considering the fact that it's a very repetitive type day, like every day of the week. And then also considering the social circle that I had to contend with, I just like got completely drained by everything. But like I had mentioned before, I've been watching some of these YouTube videos, and some of these videos, I swear, like I know that things cannot be covered like on NBC, ABC, other major news channels. But because this issue is very well known, like within the realms of social media, it's like I'm identifying some of this. Now, some of the stuff is kind of going over my head, but at least I see certain things about my life that is relating to this. This whole issue when it comes to the stalking and the issue with my son's father and then my ex-husband. And so I was thinking about my ex-husband just recently because I wanted to make this very clear about how I'm not comfortable with how certain networks try to force situations and put you in traumatizing situations. I am somebody who sees the importance of adhering to employment laws when it comes to I think people should adhere to employment laws. Why? Because you can put people in situations where they're in abusive relationships or relationships that are triggering and traumatizing. And in this case, I think that this is what these people were doing. Now, the thing with Joel is I realized that Joel, and I'm gonna talk about incestuous families. I have an incestuous family, and it didn't actually come to me and put things two and two together until I started making all these videos and came to this conclusion. I had mentioned before that we had 4 kids in our family, and I have an older brother who I would think did I feel as though he did some inappropriate touching when we were younger, and he was at the age where he knew better. And also, I understand that his behavior is the behavior that they exhibit. I'm talking about my entire siblings, including my mother. When families take it upon themselves to be that controlling, like for example, in this case, they wanted me to be married to, or at least be in some sort of weird marriage that I had no knowledge of, and then I was getting penalized. I was getting punished if I was seeing somebody else or doing something that they didn't think that was right, or if I stepped outside the lines of this so-called marriage that I had no knowledge of, then I was supposed to be punished. These are the very characteristics of incestuous people. Okay, incestuous people do not know or respect boundaries. They have no sense of that whatsoever. Now, I recognize that Joel, it didn't actually occur to me that he was in an incestuous relationship with his mother until I would say around 2012. That's when I started kind of getting a clue. I remember going over to their house one time, and I like to say that Joel is adopted. Joel's adopted, and but I believe that his mother adopted him just for the sole purpose of having a sexual relationship with him. And I don't believe that he, because of the environment that he was in, and because of his mother was, how can I say this? His mother was somebody who was very ignorant. Like my mom. My mother graduated from high school, but Polly was in a sanitarium when she was younger, okay? So the sort of, I would say, education, not necessarily formal education, but just education in how people are generally supposed to behave. Like, a lot of people don't know that incest is wrong. A lot of people don't know that child molestation is wrong, or something that you should look at it like with a side eyeball. They don't know. And I don't think that she ever had the ability to have those formal lessons on what is right and what is wrong, because when she told me about the time frame of when she was in that sanitarium, that is generally the time, or that around that age, where people have those conversations, you know, with their families, like, okay, well, this is something that is not really acceptable in society, or this is when we talk about incest, this is when we start talking about those sort of things, or this is where we talk about where babies come from, or whatever. I don't think that she knew right from wrong. Or if she did, I don't think she cared. She had this impish type behavior about her. She was very strange. But I remember going to their house on, this is like one of the last times I think I remember going there as a couple with Joel. I think it was around 2012. And I looked on the refrigerator and I saw this picture of her and Joel. And Joel and her were holding hands. And it wasn't like, okay, now I have a son, okay? And the way that I like hug and hold my son is completely different than how this picture looked with Joel and his mother. It looked more like they were a couple. Okay, you know the difference between a platonic hug and the kind that's more of like a sexually I'm all over you type hug. And I kept thinking, okay, that's very strange. I also remember her mentioning something about a pickle. Like they had this little inside joke about the pickle. And then I also remember her telling me that while I was away, because Joel and I were separated in 2006, I want to say 2007, all the way through 2009, because I came back in town in 2009. She told me that while Joel was away, he had sexual urges and she made sure that she took care of them. And at first I was too busy, because I will tell you, while I was working, while I was dealing with workplace mobbings, trying to figure out what was going on, all of these things that were going on at the time, a lot of things would go in one ear and out the other, okay? But soon, there was this one night that Joel and I got into this argument. And this is when it became very clear that I understood that him and his mom had this sexual relationship. And I also came to the understanding is that Joel had what I consider to be a split mind. Now, I think Joel cherished having a friend, because I was a good friend to Joel. I was extremely affectionate to Joel, and I was completely sincere with Joel. But he had split mind. Like he was very controlled by his mother. You know, and I think a good example of this would be like the movie The Manchurian Candidate, where, you know, you have this guy, he has his mom, and he has a split mind. Like as soon as she breaks out that deck of cards, his whole persona completely switches modes, right? This is they call this, not trauma bonding, but it's kind of like, oh gosh, how can I say it? It's kind of like, I was going to say ritualistic abuse. I guess I could say that, a form of it in a way. But there's another word for it, and I'll probably think of it in a minute. And when I'm done with this video. But basically, what it is where I believe that Joel was very open to certain forms of mind control, mainly because of the way that he was raised. Like he would tell me that his mother, it was very similar to the whole Manchurian Candidate. You know how like the Manchurian Candidate was like stating things like, this particular person is the best person in the entire world, and he regurgitated the same information that was repeated to him, even when the information wasn't true. Like his mom was not somebody who was honest. She was not a good person. But I remember him telling me, my mom never lies. She never does this. She never does that, right? Because this is what she told Joel to believe. And he would go ahead and regurgitate this information, and he would convince himself so he can convince the other people. It's very complex, okay? But for people who have an interest in this sort of mind control, and I really suggest people break out, if they don't want to go get any books on mind control, they could probably do some information and look up information on Google to find out how the mind works, okay? Because the mind works in a very strange way. Just like this whole operation. Like people swear up and down, oh, I'm a good Christian. I have good morals. You know, this is a moral issue, blah, 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 blah. But they act the complete opposite of the way a real Christian is supposed to act. It's like they have this split mind and this different personality type thing. And it's very deep. It's very, very deep, okay? So in this situation, I do see where Joel has he's very open to mind control. And I had mentioned this before in one of my videos. I come from an incestuous family. My family is extremely incestuous. This is one of the reasons why they have this sense of entitlement, and they do not understand boundaries. I'm a 52-year-old woman, and they felt as though they had the right to tell me who I'm supposed to be married to, what I'm supposed to do. They think I'm supposed to sacrifice my life and never think anything. They don't see anything wrong with their requests and the things that they want to ask of you. And this is very common in incestuous families. I remember when Joel and I were married, Joel sometimes worked like 7 days a week. This is not an exaggeration. Sometimes he worked 7 days a week, and he would be fucking dog tired. And it would be Sunday, and his mom would call, and she would expect him to come over. Now, I understand sometimes you got to do things for your family, but I remember it coming across my mind that there was, this is before it clicked in my mind that it was a sexual incest. It was like a sexual incestuous relationship. But it did cross my mind that I felt as though there was some sort of emotional incest going on. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, when a man gets married, his primary concern, and I'm not selfish at all, because I believe that people should have responsibility. They have an elderly parent, take care of your elderly parent. But it's mostly the fact that, you know, she didn't take in consideration that this man worked like 7 days a week, manual labor. He's tired. He's been up on his feet all goddamn day. But she expected him to drop everything that he was doing and come to her aid. And I kept thinking, she is, what do you call it? An emotional type incest. And I remember having a conversation with someone at work and mentioning that. You know, just briefly, like I kept thinking she's like, you know, an abuser of some sort. Anyway, I don't believe that I'm wrong about the whole situation. I believe that I'm right. I also think that his mom was a clout chaser, and that she was somebody who wanted, because at the time when they were sabotaging my endeavors, there was a lot of crap going on about me, and I think that she felt as though the girl at my over at Murray Family Farms had more, what do you call it, I don't know, clout, or I don't know, that's so ridiculous, or clout or whatever. So she was like hungry for that. So I think that she wanted Joel to be with her. But at the same time, I believe they may have even had a house together while he was married to me. Now this is very strange, and a lot of this information that I'm talking about right now is coming through psychically. Of course, there was a lot of things that happened that were confirmed, like what Joel's mom said, and we had that argument that night. She talked about the pickle, and she flat out admitted to me that there was some sort of sexual favors that she did for Joel. And I do remember having a dream about, this is so weird, like I don't even know if this word is legitimate or not. I looked it up in the dictionary, but it doesn't make sense. I remember there was this vision that I had. It was at night, and it was Polly, and she was naked, but thank God I couldn't see her naked. I would have just like threw up, because I'm not into seeing old people naked. Please keep your clothes on. Anyway, in this dream, it was like this ritual that was going on. It was like ritualistic type magic that they were performing. And see, Joel never really had an interest in the occult until he met me. Okay? Now, I don't know, maybe his mom was an occultist. I don't know. I know that when I first met him, you know, I would talk to him about me, how I grew up, my interest in the occult, because I did. I had an interest in the occult, okay? And so I thought it was kind of weird that, you know, Polly was having this occult type thing in my dream. The dream was where they were having a sex switch ritual, and Joel was in there. I couldn't see other people in there, but I had the sense that maybe his aunt was in there. And then I also saw in my vision that the girl from Murray Family Farms, I'm talking about Selena Bruce, was in this dream. And I kept thinking, oh, this is so wild. This is so weird, right? I don't know if I was right on it, like I was like picking up on something. Maybe I was. Okay, maybe they're not into sexual ritualistic magic, but maybe they could possibly have had a relationship, and then Joel, I found out later that Joel married her or whatever. I don't like to second guess my intuition, but and I do believe that just based on what she said and the behavior of how you know, just how Polly acted, and the fact that she adopted him for that reason. She never really came off to me as somebody who truly had any true emotional feelings for him. Like, I don't believe that she really loved her kid. And if she and there's different kinds of love. I think she loved him for sex. That's what I think she loved him for, and that was it. And my family is just as equally disgusting, and I'm just not into that sort of stuff. I think if people want to be in incestuous relationships, if it's consensual, that's their choice. You're over the age of 18, you have every right to do that. I don't believe in incest, and I don't like the behavior of people who I don't like the behavior of incestuous people because they don't understand boundaries. They don't respect boundaries. They have no concept of boundaries. They will do sort of things like try to manipulate a person's life. If they're not having sexual control over them, they want to control them in some other way. So on that level, I wanted to clarify that. I think there's a lot of things that go on in this community, a lot of talk that goes on in this community. I don't want anything to do with, my past. I don't want it. And it was all very, very traumatizing for me. I do believe that Joel knows what I'm talking about. I do believe that he, somewhere deep inside, because this is going to be a man who's very mixed up. He has spent his entire life being brainwashed and having what they call double talk, double speak. You know how they talk about this in those George Orwell books about, how people will say one thing to create one narrative, but it's really another. He has always been manipulated. His mind has always been manipulated. He's always had one story presented to him when there was something else actually going on. So he is a very mixed up person. Okay, so I think but I think somewhere deep down inside, he knows I'm telling the truth. He knows when I'm telling the truth, and because he might say, "Yeah, okay, I had sex with my mom" or whatever, something like that in the back of his mind. But maybe he's never really thought about why that is something that's of concern. Like, I know there's people who practice incest and they don't bat an eye at it, okay? But when you think about somebody who manipulated someone's life in that manner, and the fact that, the very fact that he is basically a screen printer, I don't know how old he is now, okay? There's so many signs of neglect and abuse for the very fact that he's the age that he's at now. And his mother, if I was to adopt a kid, I would adopt a child with the sole purpose of improving their life. Like, I would only adopt a kid if I could make sure that I could give them the very best life possible. Because I'm not adopting them just because they're cute or, just because I didn't have a son. I would be wanting to give them the best life I possibly could. I would make sure that they had, access to good education, blah, 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 blah. That sort of stuff. But to me, you cannot convince me that I'm wrong on this situation. But anyway, the whole issue to me was extremely traumatizing, very strange. I think when I mentioned that Joel was in a relationship with his mother, people foolishly and disgustingly thought that I was jealous of his sexual relationship with his mother, when in fact I was mortified by it. Because I believe that relationships between parents should not be sexual. That's me. And I'm not trying to offend people who condone incest. It's just that I look at certain bonds as sacred. Like, my love for my son is sacred. It would be violated if I touched him in any inappropriate. I can't even, this is disgusting for me to think of. Why? Because that is something that is very personal, and something that only he has, that's his personal right to decide who touches his body. And for me to take that liberty against his will, or when he's too young to say whether he wants to or not, I feel as though that's the ultimate violation. I look down on that sort of thing, okay? I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but this is how I feel about that issue. So when people took it lightly, like, oh, she's jealous, or that, to me, see, this is where I kept thinking this more and more of this mental illness, more and more of this demonic type behavior, because people, they have very skewed logic, and this is what I've seen played out in front of me throughout this entire course of me coming to the realization of what happened in the gang stalking story. So it traumatized me. You know, I feel as though I'm working, or I had to be around a network that was extremely immoral. Now, like I said, you know, some people believe in consensual incest, and that's fine. But when they press that issue or try to make it so that you um, minimize it, or they shrug their shoulders like it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to put this person close to you anyway. I'm going to ignore what you're saying, and I'm going to go ahead and put you back in this traumatizing situation. It's like, what the fuck? That's just like raping somebody. And they don't understand the violation. See, I deal with people who are ignorant. You know, ignorant, corrupt people. And this is why I am so appalled by the situation that I was in, you know. But yes, this is exactly what incestuous people do. And I don't know, I think that Joel is a very mixed up person. I had no interest in pursuing a relationship with him or standing in the way of his relationship with of Selena. No, none whatsoever. I have, throughout this entire time, I have only shown that my main interest was to get to a safe spot, for me to feel safe. You know, the problem with these employers is that they stick their nose where it doesn't belong. You know, I think a lot of people like playing matchmaker, or they like to get involved in this sort of stuff, but they violate the rights of women. And I'm just disturbed by the entire thing. Just absolutely disturbed. There's not a day that goes by that I don't like regret having any sort of association with these people. You know. Anyway, I am going to wrap up this video. I have been feeling very, you know, just kind of like groggy. You know, just like it's mainly because, you know, it's like me having to start all over again. You know, like you establish a channel, and then you do something else. And this is really, I'm tired of doubling my efforts because of these people who don't respect boundaries. That is not your right to touch something that doesn't belong to you. What I do outside of work has nothing to do with work. You know what I mean? And I think these people, that's another reason why I don't like this group of people, because they don't understand that. You know what I mean? I'm not happy with this network at all, like literally at all. And you know, I have morals, and I don't agree with that sort of lifestyle. You know what I mean? And you know, and this is not for me to put people down who do practice incest. Like I said, if you're over the age of 18 and that's what you want to do, you can do that. But I look at it as the ultimate violation of a human body. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I will be back with a video some other time later. Actually, hopefully on my other channel. I've been working on, you know, I'm just kind of going over the whole thing about renaming a channel after I already had a name. It's all of it. You know what I mean? I can't tell you, this network, I hate them. I literally fucking hate them. I don't care what these people, they think it's funny. They think it's like a joke, or they minimize my anger, my you know, legitimate anger towards them. I don't think it's funny at all. You know what I mean? And it's like they think that when I say that I hate them, that they just kind of blow it off. No, I fucking hate these people. I fucking hate these people. They go way too far. Way, way, way too far. Anyway, wrapping up this video. Be back with another one, hopefully on my other channel. I'm hopefully be launching that video by Sunday. If not, it will be sometime next week. Take care. Bye-bye.